Tonight, stock prices drop sharply as the price of oil hits yet another all-time high, and prices at the pump continue to climb. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, for the record, Senators Clinton and Obama have challenged each other on what they've done and haven't done. Tonight, we'll lay it all out. Phone fraud. Customers were charged for ringtones they didn't order. Now a major telephone company agrees to clean up its act. And Steve Hartman's Assignment America. She gives the needy a helping hand and warm gloves, too.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. February 29th comes just once every 4 years, and for Wall Street, it's just as well. It doesn't want to see a day like this one for a long, long time. The Dow lost more than 300 points, and that makes 4 losing months in a row. One reason, soaring oil prices. Oil topped $103 a barrel before falling back to close to just under 102. It's getting ever closer to the inflation-adjusted record high set back in the early 1980s. And Bill Whitaker reports drivers are really feeling the pain at the pump.
Leslie Martinez is working from home today. The church youth coordinator tries to work at home 2 days a week, not for convenience, for cost. Her 4-year-old gas guzzler takes an ever bigger bite out of her income.
When we first got it, it was about $50 to $55 a week to fill up, and now $90 a week.
More money for gas means less for everything else.
We've, like cut our cable off. Our truck is paid for, so we couldn't afford another car payment, so we had to make do with what we had.
The whole country is feeling her pain. Last year, the nationwide average for a gallon of regular gasoline was $2.37, a bargain compared to today. That same gallon now costs $3.16, a whopping 34% increase. Why are oil prices rising so fast? In part because the dollar is falling and is no longer a safe bet for the world's investors. So they're buying oil instead, and you're paying the price at the pump.
This is absorbing the dollars, the very dollars that we're hoping will stimulate the economy, and we're putting them into the gas tank.
Martinez is caught in an economic vice.
As of January 1st of '08, our mortgage increased approximately $400 a month. Yes. That plus gas has definitely impacted us tremendously.
And the summer driving period, when the price of what they're pumping behind me actually spikes, is still months away. Katie?
All right, Bill Whitaker. Bill, thank you very much. Turning to politics now, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton continue to battle over national security. In Texas today, Clinton released an ad saying she's better prepared to handle an international crisis. But Obama countered by saying Clinton was wrong when she voted to authorize the invasion of Iraq. Meanwhile, earlier this week, the two clashed over Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan's support for Obama. Obama ultimately rejected it. Tonight, another candidate and a new endorsement controversy. Here's Jeff Greenfield.
Today, it was Republican frontrunner John McCain's turn to answer questions about one of his supporters, Reverend John Hagee, a San Antonio pastor with a worldwide broadcast ministry. Hagee has offered some highly provocative views on a variety of subjects. For instance, linking Hurricane Katrina to the gay rights movement.
All of the city was punished because of the sin that happened there in that city.
He has also denounced the Roman Catholic Church as the great whore of Babylon and as a cult. He blames it for the Holocaust and predicts its imminent demise.
This is the apostate church. This false religious system is going to be totally devoured by the Antichrist.
In a statement, Catholics United said, "We hope Senator McCain will take the principled position of publicly and unequivocally distancing himself from Pastor Hagee's anti-Catholic comments." And from the Catholic League's Bill Donahue,
John McCain had better get the message and cut loose his ties from this man.
Today, Senator McCain offered some carefully measured words.
I don't have to agree with everyone who endorses my candidacy. They are supporting my candidacy. I am not endorsing some of their positions.
The question, though, is whether Pastor Hagee's view on the Catholic Church constitutes a position or a view that presumptive Republican nominee has to address head-on. This dust-up may also make it a lot harder, Katie, for Republicans to criticize Obama for some of his more controversial supporters.
All right, interesting. Jeff Greenfield, thank you, Jeff. Now, an update on last week's story about people getting billed for ringtones they didn't buy. Today, AT&T settled fraud charges in Florida, and it could pay off for cell phone users nationwide. Ringtones are big business. Americans bought more than 220 million last year, spending more than $500 million. Cheryl Atkinson tonight follows the money.
AT&T Wireless is the first big phone company to settle a ringtone fraud investigation, where AT&T allowed advertisers to put out misleading ads, then billed customers for ringtones they didn't want or thought were free. Under the settlement, AT&T agrees nationwide to clearly identify the ringtone charges on your cell phone bill, remove bogus charges when customers complain, and police deceptive internet ads for free ringtones that aren't free at all.
So obviously the representation that you're getting complimentary ringtones on this page is completely false.
Florida investigators decided to build a case after following the ringtone money to some trusted household names.
And I'll tell you, the thing that really convinced me is when I learned about AT&T Mobility and the other wireless providers, that they're getting 40 to 45% of the profit. They're actually making the money. It's not as though they're innocent parties in this.
He says AT&T will also refund up to $45 million to Florida customers who got cheated. Today, AT&T said, quote, "We are proud to lead the industry with this cooperative agreement to make sure our customers are only billed for services they agree to." Florida today announced it's also investigating Verizon and has more than a dozen open cases against ringtone companies and advertisers, including ones run by the former king of spam, Scott Richter, subjects of our Follow the Money report just last week. The other cell phone companies aren't off the hook either. The Florida Attorney General is now targeting all the companies that allegedly profit from similar schemes, including Sprint, Nextel, Alltel, and T-Mobile. Cheryl Atkinson, CBS News, Washington.
And there's much more CBS News ahead. Up next, Hillary Clinton talks about her 35 years of experience. We'll look at what she's done for the record. In the battle for the Democratic nomination, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama have touted their records, attacked each other's record, and accused each other of distortion. So this week, we're examining the record. Last night, Senator Obama, tonight, Senator Clinton. Nancy Cordes concludes our series, For the Record.
Well, I'm Hillary Clinton, and I'm running for president. I'm in, and I'm in to win.
Hillary Rodham Clinton's presidential potential has been a topic of discussion among her peers since the 60s.
For 35 years, I have been making positive differences in people's lives.
That would take us back to 1973, the year she graduated from Yale Law School and went to work for the Children's Defense Fund, interviewing juvenile offenders and dropouts. Over the next few years, she moved from one success to the next, serving as a staff lawyer on the House Judiciary Committee as it considered impeaching President Nixon during Watergate, teaching criminal law at the University of Arkansas, and heading the Legal Services Corporation, a nonprofit which represents the poor. She had been appointed to the board by President Jimmy Carter. In 1979, the year her husband became governor of Arkansas, Hillary Rodham, who had raised eyebrows when she declined to take his name, became the first female partner at the prestigious Rose Law Firm in Little Rock.
Because there were so few women, and particularly so few young women, kind of involved in traditionally male venues, I mean, clearly her mere presence probably turned some people off.
Arkansas's First Lady decided to take a shot at reforming the state's abysmal education system.
I really believe that our young students need as much personal attention as they can get.
It was a tough sell involving the largest tax increase in the state's history and testing for teachers.
Hillary went out into the state. She held public hearings, I think, in all 75 counties, and she very effectively disarmed her critics.
the people of our state.
Her grassroots victory would go down as one of Bill Clinton's most significant gubernatorial accomplishments.
So help me God.
It prompted her husband to hand her an even larger policy initiative as soon as he won the White House: health care reform.
Now is our chance to beat the historical odds and give the American people the health security they need and deserve.
Mrs. Clinton, can we ask you a question? But from the start, she did not seem to follow her own lessons.
She had a kind of confrontational approach to everybody.
Biographer Sally Bedell Smith spent 3 years researching the Clinton White House.
Because they were conducting the task force in secret, it was subject to a legal challenge, and that, created a lot of problems. It also created perception problems.
Why did she decide to hold those meetings in secret?
Well, I don't think she ever really explained that.
After 2 years and countless hearings, the 1,300-page plan imploded. Defeated but not deterred, Clinton set her sights on more manageable goals, like creating the state children's health insurance program and increasing vaccination rates. And behind the scenes, she got the last word on so many issues, staffers had a nickname for her: the Supreme Court.
Nothing but the truth.
It was her idea to tap Janet Reno for Attorney General and Madeleine Albright for Secretary of State. Her stance on NAFTA has become a point of contention in job-strapped Ohio.
She said that NAFTA, on balance, had been good for New York and good for America.
Publicly, she supported it in those early days, but within White House walls,
she had grave reservations about NAFTA, was probably against it, thought it originated correctly with Republicans.
I've been to more than 82 countries.
Mrs. Clinton likes to cite her extensive travel, more than 80 trips as First Lady, as part of her foreign policy experience. She promoted microfinance in Latin America, peace in Bosnia, and famously, human rights in China.
It is no longer acceptable to discuss women's rights as separate from human rights.
But for the most part, she functioned more as a goodwill ambassador.
I noticed in the debate the other night that she said that she had played a role in the Irish peace process, the Northern Ireland peace process. But in fact, there really isn't any evidence that she participated in any negotiations that led to the Good Friday Accords.
Hillary Clinton's role and relationships factored into nearly every scandal that rocked the Clinton White House. Whitewater, an investment deal gone bad with friends from Arkansas. Travelgate, where she allegedly participated in the firing of 7 White House travel office employees. But multi-million-dollar investigations turned up either no wrongdoing on her part or not enough evidence to prosecute. And the only Clinton investigation that did stick had decidedly little to do with the First Lady.
I am happy to answer the grand jury's questions.
She has called it the greatest adversity she ever faced. But instead of retreating from public life, she decided to run for office herself. Like Senator Obama, she faced a relatively weak Republican opponent. Unlike Obama, she shunned the spotlight her first few years in office.
She went into the Senate not as a show horse, but as a workhorse.
Learning the Senate power structure, landing a coveted spot on the Senate Armed Services Committee, and reaching out to former Republican foes. She teamed with Bill Frist on modernizing medical records, with Tom DeLay on foster care, with Lindsey Graham, who had led the impeachment effort against her husband, on benefits for veterans, and with Newt Gingrich on health care policy.
When we were agreeing so much with each other, I think people thought the end is near.
The most fascinating thing about Clinton in the Senate was to hear the conservative Republicans who had gone back home and often advanced their own political careers by using Hillary as the great whipping person, going around saying privately, and for some of them publicly, wow, what a nice person and what a terrific colleague.
Her vote to authorize the Iraq War in 2002?
And we say to him, use these powers wisely and as a last resort.
Still haunts Clinton on the campaign trail.
Hillary Clinton voted for a war in Iraq that should have never been authorized.
She has won over her adopted state, cruising to re-election in 2006. Last year, she steered more money to her state than all but a handful of senators. $342 million worth of infrastructure projects, defense contracts, and other earmarks.
Her record in the Senate has been one of finding allies in strange places, and after a period of building confidence, then using her celebrity not to take credit for everything, but to get leverage.
Now she is taking credit for her accomplishments and hoping to use them as leverage to win the White House. But spotlighting her past successes draws attention to the failures and controversies, too. The question that's yet to be answered is, are enough voters convinced that it's time for a second Clinton White House with a different Clinton in charge? Nancy Cordes, CBS News, Washington.
And there is much more CBS News ahead, including Steve Hartman's Assignment America. Tonight, a 911 operator who makes house calls to the homeless. In Las Vegas tonight, a health scare and mystery involving the deadly poison ricin. Police say several vials of it were found in a motel room where a man became ill 2 weeks ago. That man is still in critical condition. 7 other people at the motel had to be decontaminated. Ricin has been used in terror plots, but authorities say there is no evidence of terrorism. Now to the war on terror. The U.S. State Department reported today the Taliban is reaping the benefits of a record poppy harvest in Afghanistan. Poppies are turned into opium. Last year's crops were worth $4 billion, and a lot of that ends up in the hands of the Taliban. The State Department urged the Afghan government to take action against the poppy growers. Meanwhile, the British Army says Prince Harry is being sent home from Afghanistan now that the enemy knows he's there. For 10 weeks, the prince secretly served on the front lines. At one point, he was stationed just 500 yards from Taliban positions. It was the 9/11 attacks that led to that war in Afghanistan, and tomorrow a warship that rose from the ruins of Ground Zero will be christened. The USS New York was built using 24 tons of steel salvaged from the World Trade Center. The billion-dollar ship is designed to transport Marines to the battlefield and may be used in anti-terror operations. The New York's motto, never forget. Coming up next, Steve Hartman with a heartwarming and hand-warming Assignment America. Have you noticed very often people who have the least seem to give the most? Steve Hartman introduces us to one of those people in tonight's Assignment America.
Time to get up, Dinka.
First, I'd like to apologize to Tony Duke's 4-year-old son, Miles.
Stretch it out, son.
Waking up is hard enough without a camera in your face.
What's that?
But we thought it was important to be here from the get-go, to see this single mom struggle to get her baby off to preschool.
Are your shoes here?
To see her drive an hour and a half from where she can afford to live in Stockton, California, to where she can afford to work in San Francisco.
San Francisco 911, police, fire, medical.
To see her putting in a full day as a 911 dispatcher.
Why do you think he lost his mind?
Shouldering the problems of a big, crazy city.
He's completely naked?
Basically. We wanted you to see how Tony Dukes just doesn't have the time or the money to save the world, but does it anyway.
Miss Lady, I'm gonna give you a pair of gloves, because I know them hands get cold.
Here in San Francisco's Tenderloin district, they call her the Glove Lady.
Bless you too.
She started handing out the gloves after driving through the neighborhood on her way to work.
And I would see people, you know, standing there doing this, and I felt bad.
And when your hands get cold, the rest of you get cold.
Well, you stay dry.
All right, I will. Over the past couple years, Tony has given out hundreds of pairs of gloves and hats to these random strangers who often find her too good to be true.
Where's Stay Warm? They're like, what organization are you with? I'm not with any organization. It's just me. Oh, you just doing this? Yeah, from the heart. And on my bags, I write from the heart.
From the heart and from money she doesn't necessarily have. Although Tony always buys on sale, she admits her debts are mounting.
To be out of debt, that's not reality right now. Reality is there's people standing on a corner cold.
For that devotion, the San Francisco General Hospital Foundation recently honored her as one of the city's greatest heroes. Of course, now that it's getting warmer, Tony won't have to go out anymore, but will anyway.
Even when I don't have any gloves to give out, I will still go out there and say, hi, how you doing?
You'll be glad to know that since winning the award, Tony has gotten some hats and gloves donated.
In fact, the scarf that you saw her wearing during the ceremony, that was not a poor fashion choice. That was actually all gloves, a big scarf of gloves donated by Macy's.
That is so great. What a great lady. I love her.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah, really. All right, so tell us about next week.
Okay,
I always have to hit your knee. Go ahead, sorry.
After Dustin Carter had parts of his arms and legs amputated when he was young, his parents told him he could still do whatever he wanted. But even they could have never imagined this. We're always looking for your story ideas, so if you've got one, please go to cbsnews.com and click on Assignment America.
Okay, Steve, thank you so much. And that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric in New York. Thanks for watching this week. I'll see you Monday from Columbus, Ohio, as we cover the next critical round of presidential primaries. Until then, have a great weekend. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, click on cbsnews.com.